John here. So in today's lesson we're going to look at this classic Yngwie picking sequence. It sounds like this. We're also going to look at two different variations. So we're going to use the same tonal material here, so basically the same notes, but the sequences are going to be different. So the first sequence is based on 6 notes, but now we're going to have a 5-note variation. And we're also going to look at a 7-note variation. Now, we don't need any tabs for this. The pattern itself is super easy to learn, or the shape, scale shape. Basically, you have the 13th fret, 12th fret, and 10th fret on the high E string, and then we have 12, 10, 9 on the B string. And then we're going to repeat that in octaves. So start on the same note here, and you have exactly the same shape. Now we'll do that once more. We'll end up with a low E. I'll slide up to the octave here. So that's basically all the notes, but then we're going to apply these different sequences. So I'm going to start with the original one, the Yngwie pattern one. And if you've seen any of my videos, you've probably seen this sequence quite a few times because it's a very versatile sequence, this groups of 6 one. So if we number the notes from left to right, 1, 2, 3, we will have 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Starting with a downstroke, at least that's how I play it, and we're going to go down like this. So that's the original sequence, but just to give it a slightly different sound and a slightly different feel, we can do this with groups of 5 and groups of 7. I'm going to start with the groups of 7, oddly enough, because it's more similar to the 6 than what the groups of 5 will be, and you will see why soon. So group of 7 then, we have the same notes, but now we're going to repeat it for 1 extra note per string. And the sequence is basically starting on the highest note, going down to the lowest note, and back up to the highest, and then back to the lowest again. So you basically go back and forth like this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the thing with any odd numbered sequence is that if you use alternate picking, it's going to be an upstroke on every other string change. So we're going to have down, up, down, up, down, up. And I'm going to show you a way to practice this once we're done with all the sequences. So you can basically have something very concrete to sit down and practice besides just repeating these sequences over and over again. So another thing here to note is that the actual notes are taken from the harmonic minor scale. So the parent key, A harmonic minor, just like a natural minor scale, but instead of a flat 7, we have a natural 7. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and then 7. That gives us that neoclassical sound. And why I say it's the parent scale is because we hear it from E here, because we're ending on the E note, right? So, and if you play the same notes from the harmonic minor scale, but you hear the E as you hear the 5th as the root note, the intervals will change, right? Because we're not comparing all these intervals from this note, instead we're comparing it from this note. So you get a flat 2nd, major 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6, flat 7, and then back to the root again. And this scale is called the Phrygian dominant scale. So we basically have, and when you actually play the sequence, we're skipping the C note here. So we have 6 notes, but you still get that same sound. The sound we're going for. So that's a little backstory on the actual theory here. But it's very important to know that, because if you can put names on things that you learn, it it will make it more relevant for your brain, and you will retain it much, much better. And the next time you find something similar, you will basically learn that way quicker as well. So that's why it's important to know what you're doing. At least I think it's important, because I want to learn things as quickly as possible and, you know, understand what I'm doing. And it's nothing about, you know, losing creativity just because you know what you're doing. If anything, it gives you more creativity, because you can look at things from different perspectives, because you have something and you know how it fits in with everything else, instead of having to sort of reinvent the wheel every time you try to compose something. Anyway, back to the sequences. So we have this 7-note sequence. Now you can play this with 16th notes, you can play it with any subdivisions. You don't need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 notes per beat. So you should experiment with that. And maybe it's even better to start with just 16th notes and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Won't end up on the downbeat, but it kind of doesn't matter when you're just practicing it. So don't feel that you have to do the 7s, even though I think it's a good idea to work on that as well. So the last sequence then is groups of 5. And we save this for last because it's a bit different. If I play it, you can see. So on the surface it might look very similar, because it is very similar, but we're starting each string on a different side of the 3-note pattern. So what I mean by that, we start this high as usual, but then when we go to the next string, we're going to start on the lowest pitch. We're not going to go like that. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to start on the lowest pitch, and then we start on the highest again, lowest, highest, lowest. But don't let this confuse you. It can even be easier to see it as a group of 10 notes instead. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, however you view these groupings doesn't stop you from trying with different subdivisions. So if we do this one with 16th notes, right? Or 8th note triplets. So you can try it with all the different subdivisions, and doing that will help you in different ways. So don't skip out on that and just, do it one way the whole time. So I said in the beginning that I would show you a way to practice this as well, and the way that I suggested you do it is in 2 ways actually. So you want to play this as is, but start it as low as possible on the fretboard. But if you're going to go down in this pattern, you sort of have to you can only go down 3 positions. So you can start from here and go. Then you can't land on the low E string then, because it will sound like absolute crap. But it's a very good idea to practice things like this. So you take the whole thing, and as much as possible, you just move it up in half steps. Because when you do that, you stop relating things to the dots on the fretboard and things like that. Instead, you see the pattern in relation to itself. So you start seeing how these notes relate from this string to this string and so on. And that's very helpful in actually seeing the shapes easier. So even though it might initially be a bit trickier, once you get back to the regular one, that's going to seem very easy now when you've done it on every fret. So basically you start here, and then you can go up all the way to the high, whatever your highest fret is. So mine is 24, so right. So you have quite a few reps to do there. And I would actually suggest that you work on all 3 sequences at the same time. So maybe you do the groups of 5 a few times first, and then you do groups of 6, and then groups of 7, move it up, do 5, 6, 7, and so on, until you reach the top here. And the second way to practice this is to take the actual contour of this lick, which basically means you have 3 notes on each string. And if you take the 6-note sequence, for example, you have this. And you play it on each string, but you do that with 1 fingering at a time. And I like to use all the possible fingerings, and when we use 3 fingers at a time, we have 4 different fingerings. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So I call this mechanical practice basically. But what's good about it is that you can start down here, play the entire thing and get the same feel that you would get for the whole thing, but it's in a more simplified manner, so you can really focus on the right hand and all that stuff. So the right hand especially won't do anything different at all. It will still be however many notes there are in the sequence on each string. So if we do, for example, let's say groups of 6 again, but then you start down here and then you do 1, 2, 3 first. You will go like this. Then you do 1, 2, 4. One, 3, 4. And then 2, 3, 4. And you might wonder, like, why would you do 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4? Well, that's to balance the hand. And 1, 2, 3 comes up, you know, fairly often in regular playing. But 2, 3, 4 is very important to balance the hand, like I said, because most of us are used to using 1, 2, 3 more often than 2, 3, 4, which means that any combination of fingers that use 3 and 4 together, for example, will not be as comfortable, but that's just a matter of practice. So if you practice this way, you get the benefit of really balancing the left hand, and you'll find that whatever scale shape you chuck this into later on will feel quite comfortable. So another thing is that you can get a lot of reps in here, which is super important when it comes to developing any type of technique. So massive amounts of perfect repetitions have been the best way for me to develop my technique. And that has also worked for my students, so I highly recommend that. But basically you do it, you know, like I did here with all 4 fingerings, move up a fret, all 4 fingerings, move up a fret, all 4, all the way up. So again, a lot of reps here. Final thing here, if you didn't see what I did, when I did 2, 3, 4, I didn't start here. Instead, I think of a 1 finger per fret fingering. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. So just thought I'd throw that in there so you don't get confused why I started on the 2nd fret here. So that's why. If you're still watching at this point but you're not a subscriber, please press subscribe, because then you'll be sure not to miss any of the lessons. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 notes per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I use myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start.